Welcome to the PinstripeChronicles podcast. I am here with our friend Spencer, and we are on Northeast Streaming Sports on Roku and on Facebook, brought to you by SportsWire Radio. And we had the return of Taillon to Pittsburgh yesterday in a very tough game to watch. They treated him very well in his time in Pittsburgh. They gave him the tribute video. They had his old walkout music playing for him as he took the mound. And I thought that was a really touching point. And I think the emotions might have gotten a little more of him than he wanted to lead on because he just didn't have his best stuff. And he's had a rough couple of outings, but I thought yesterday going home to Pittsburgh might have sparked a little more competitiveness. And the bats were ready for him. They studied him really well. And the overall outcome from the game, we expected, me, Rob, and Donald, that this was going to be a two-game series that the bats can right the ship before going into Boston and kind of get a little more confidence back in their approach. We didn't really get that. What did you see the most, Spencer, about how the Yankees, their approach at the plate? Was there something you saw that was off?
What I saw mainly, Bobby, was that I would say it looked almost as though they underestimated and downplayed the starting pitcher for Pittsburgh. He was very good. He really studied the Yanks. He came in prepared. And I think you also have to combine that with, right now the Yanks are in a little bit of a funk. I hate to make too much of it because it's only 2 losses in a row. We still have the best record in baseball. We have a phenomenal record in baseball. But there definitely seems to be a little bit of a malaise. The thing that's a little concerning is the majority of bats are going into the malaise at the same time. Usually one player will go in and the rest of the lineup will be able to carry that guy. But right now you've got, Judge, his batting average is going down a little bit. Donaldson, Donaldson is still Donaldson. Hicks, even though he's gotten some hits, you still don't really feel all that confident when he's at the plate. LeMahieu, he's not hitting the ball like we normally expect him to, especially like in the 2020 season. Stanton, he's hit some bombs, but he's still striking out and he's still struggling a little bit also. So whereas we have conventionally been concerned about the bottom 3 of the lineup, 7, 8, and 9, now all of a sudden it's sort of like trickling into the 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so on. Yeah. So that's what I'm seeing. All the batters seem to have gotten into this malaise at once. And I think it's fair to say also that, after losing a bad game like that in Cleveland, you sort of think that the approaches in playing a team like Pittsburgh, you don't really get as up for that as you do for Boston or even for Houston these days. So I think that the juice just isn't quite there. My feeling is that tonight, as I communicated to you, we spoke privately, I think you're still going to see a little bit of that malaise going into tonight's game, but I'm feeling like the Yankee bats are going to catch fire, from the 6th inning on. That's what I think. And again, it's just my baseball instincts talking.
Yeah. No, and it's you have a good baseball instinct, so that could come true. And if it does, hats off to you. And to take a quick sidestep, a lot of people on Northeast and on the Facebook stream may not know that on Twitter you are the legend of the Yankee hat, and you have an immense collection. Let everybody that may not know how that all started and how many.
Thanks. I appreciate the kind words, Bobby. I'm happy to talk about that. I love it. I'm a collector. I've got 1,000 caps in my collection. I'm very thorough with collecting my caps, and I keep my caps, to the teams that I support. The majority of them are Yankees caps, but I'm a Brooklyn Nets fan, so I've got about 200 Brooklyn Nets caps. I'm a New York Jets fan, so I've got about 100 or so New York Jets caps. And I went to Rutgers, so I've got some Rutgers caps. I rarely wear caps from other teams or from anything that's not even a sports entity. And maybe I've got a few Star Wars caps here and there. Yeah. But the whole cap collecting, that started really in 2015. And when I went on to Twitter, I found the cap collecting community. Cap collecting is a global and nationwide thing. So many people are into it. So, seeing the other cap collectors, it's just interesting to me what people are into, what they collect, how they assort their collections, how they decide what to get and what not to get. But as a Yankee fan, I just love caps. And I think a lot of people out there also love caps. I'm happy to see you wearing your awesome.
Well, I had to wear one for you today. I normally don't wear them on air.
I appreciate that. You don't have to buy 1,000 caps, to show your love of caps. Yeah. But I happen to love caps, and that's why I go out and that's why I get them. So to connect with Yankee fans, I started posting my caps. The idea was to prompt other fans, to like show what it is that they're into. Like maybe some Yankee fans like their T-shirts, some Yankee fans like their pullovers or their jerseys, whatever it may be. But as I was posting my caps, I wasn't really getting that kind of response. I was getting responses more to the effect of, hey, I really like that cap. And so the next day I'd post another cap and people just responded. And so now I've got a thread of about each unit has about 15 people in it. And I've got about 40 individual threads. I divide them into 5 units per post. So it's easier to see it than to explain it. And people have been very receptive about it. People have been very positive about it also. I thought people would get tired of me, but it's really been quite the opposite. The majority of people, the large majority, have really been into the Yankee cap of the day. And I'm also happy to feature other fans when I see a cap, and somebody's wearing it, and post their cap of the day also. It's not all about me.
I know Gina likes to put the Yankee hats up, and you'll shout her out on your threads.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I put her up. I put RC Cruz. I don't know his name. He put some nice caps up. Mario Gomez. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Yep,
he's a real cap head. Scott, before the pitch, he really likes caps too. I'm forgetting my friend's name. She's a beautiful girl. She's got a lot of caps. Samantha. She has a lot of caps too. So these people regularly put up caps as well. Yeah, it's wonderful, and the cap community is very chill too. So that's why I like connecting them with them. I guess
and that's the fun of being a sports fan is everybody has their thing that they, like. I probably have over a dozen Yankee coffee mugs.
Yeah.
So, everybody has their little thing. And for a while, I spent some time a couple of years ago on Twitter after you and I had a one-on-one specifically with the hat collection, and you brought on some of your favorites. And if you go to our YouTube channel, you can find that episode is still there. And I recommend checking that out because some of the ones that you whipped out were just awesome to see and that you normally would not see walking down the street, that are somewhat on a rare level. But it's really fun. It's something I look forward to every day. Seeing, all right, what's he going to throw out there today? Yeah.
Bobby, speaking of whipping out, real quick, I don't want to take up too much time on the show. I got a few samples here for you. I love this. This is called the Kaleido Vise. Got this in 2018. It's a snapback cap. Really dig it. Some people have responded favorably to it. Some people, they don't really dig it. They're a little uncomfortable with the design. I really love this cap though. Here's another cap. It's called the Shady Black. I like the colorway on it.
I like that
the
one.
White outline on the logo. I like the black. Really hits the eyes very well. This is a cap that was given to me by one of my cap collecting friends. Each year we do a Secret Santa. We exchange caps. So my Secret Santa gave me this cap. It's called the double logo. And as you can see, the top hat logo and the Yankee logo are superimposed. Cool backside on it as well. Cap that's coming out, the All-Star Game cap. Now, I bring this cap out because, this year I like, when they deliver the Mother's Day, the Father's Day caps, the 4th of July caps. For me, the selections that they've given this year haven't been so great. I decided to pick up the All-Star Game cap. I love the All-Star Game cap. I think it's going to sell very well.
That's really cool.
For cap collectors that really know their caps, you're going to see that this is really a hybrid of the 2017 cap, which had the sort of gold, the gold logo. They added a star to it. It's got the trucker mesh, which I don't know if you can see too well here. There you can see it better. That's on the batting practice caps, the spring training caps. It's also got an undervisor design on it as well. It's a nice cap. It's okay. I mean, I
that
don't
is
really
nice.
see how it associates with the Los Angeles, the Dodgers, and the All-Star game. But it's going to sell well. No matter what my criticisms are, these caps always sell well. Finally, I'm going to show something that I really like, Bobby. This is a classic cap that I was able to pick up on eBay. This is a Yankee cap from the 1980s. No Major League logo on the back. It's got no New Era on the side, as you can see.
That was
And you can
before
see on the inside of it, the Kelly green on the inside.
Wow.
So I love this cap, and this cap is my wear at home while I'm watching the game. I split it with one of my other caps. It's my 23rd season, so this is the kind of cap that Don Mattingly would have worn in his years. So just putting those things together, that's why I make that my cap that I wear during the games. I wear that with another cap. So pretty organized with the caps.
Yeah,
Thanks for letting me indulge.
No, awesome. I'm sure a lot of people are going to enjoy that. The other thing before we get back into the game last night, because there were some specific points in the game where it was, you had that high and low. But you've been a big fan of ours for a long time. Mm-hmm. You've pretty much been watching and hanging out with us since the beginning.
Yeah.
Why?
Well, it's because first of all, I like you guys. I like the camaraderie that you guys have, and I like the angles that you guys have also. You guys are like my kind of Yankee fans in that you can discuss things, you can discuss issues. We don't always have the same view on issues. Like as you guys probably know, I'm not as critical of Brian Cashman and of Hal as you and Rob and Don are. But I get it also. I don't disparage it, and I know you guys wouldn't disparage me or other fans. I also like it because this is a show by the fans for the fans, and that's what I'm really looking. That's what I'm really looking for. There's some other.
That's the best compliment we can get.
Oh, it's true. I've listened to some other podcasts. I find that when I listen to some other podcasts, the hosts, they try to be like extensions of Major League Baseball Network. Like they've got their stats prepared. They have an analysis, things like that. They try to be a little bit too clean. I like this show because it's plain talk, and with baseball you can never get too far away from stats. But you guys really aren't talking about stats. You're asking the questions like, how did you feel about how this game went? How do you feel about the thoughts of certain trades that may happen? How do you feel about this player? And that's what I like. It's plain talk, and I think that fans are looking for a plain talk. We're not trying to get a Harvard dissertation about the New York Yankees or about baseball, and that's what draws me to you. And it's a fun show also. You guys have me cracking up. I put the show on while I'm on my commute, and it brings up another issue also. In my opinion, the New York area is starved for Yankee talk, especially on morning radio. You can't really get it on ESPN, which is a major sports network. You can't really get it on The Fan. Those shows are doing like other things. They're not really talking about sports in New York. So you guys are delivering something that I think that fans want. We want to hear about the Yankees. In New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, people care about baseball and they care about the Yankees. That's what they want to hear. Nobody cares about the University of Oklahoma in the summertime. Nobody really wants to talk Jets and Giants. I'm a Jets fan, but in September I'll talk Jets. October I'll talk Jets. Okay, and sure, nobody's interested in college ball issues at this time of year as well. So that's what I like about the show. You guys are talking about the Yankees.
Oh, that's thank you for that. I mean, well, now Monday through Wednesday on Roku on Northeast Streaming Sports app, you can watch us 9:30 to 10 o'clock live. You can comment on the Facebook stream that is also live, and that live stream is Monday through Friday. And as always, if you miss any of that, we're also on YouTube. Send us some messages on Twitter or Facebook, on Instagram. We try to get as many fan points of view as we can, so we can really find out what do you guys want to hear about.
Yeah.
It's if we were all sitting around at the table or sitting in the living room talking about the game, we want to talk about we want to be more reactionary than statistical. So that's something that we really pride
Yeah.
ourselves on, and I appreciate that that you like that.
Yeah.
And other people are starting to really enjoy that as well, because it's not just uttering out, like you said, stat after stat, breaking everything down to the most specific point. It's very generic. We call players out. We will give credit when credit is due. We've been very complimentary of Boone this year, and we've never been complimentary of Boone. And one guy that really, to bring this back into last night's game, one player that we were very critical of the last couple of days was Isaiah Falefa.
Yeah,
and he actually had he had a better game with the glove, and he had a really good game with the bat.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that last night was a game that he can carry into today and into the next series, where he can get that bat going, because having a solid shortstop position that you could depend on with the glove, and having a solid contact bat for that position is very important. Do you think that he's that guy that's going to be able to help the rest of the team break out of their own slumps?
Yeah, I think Isaiah Falefa, he is an asset. He is he has a specific job, and we have him here for a specific reason. The Yankees brought him here specifically to play defense, to be their shortstop. They want him to be like a 250, even like a 220 hitter, bottom of the order kind of guy. So he is, in my opinion, serving that role. And right now, Isaiah Falefa is just another one of these guys who's kind of dipped a little in the batting order, and it's happening at the same time as everybody else. I think with IKF, what's happening is his problems are magnifying the problems of the other hitters, because he's the kind of guy where you don't really expect much, but if other guys are in the slump, he'll surprise you every now and then. He'll get he'll get a big hit. It's unfortunate that he hasn't really found any power and hasn't been able to clear the fence, because you want all of your fielders to be able to clear the fence at least 5 to 10 times a year. So he hasn't been able to do that at all. So that in itself is a weakness.
I do find it really. I do find it really strange that he hasn't even accidentally, got one off the sweet spot of the bat. Especially with all the contact he makes. The other asset to him is his aggressiveness on the bases.
Yeah.
He puts a lot of, when he's on, the catches, the pitches rather are now distracted because he will run.
Yeah.
And the other thing where the pitches were able to really shut down the Yankees offense is they've shut down one specific player. And that's Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge, I think, is 4 in his last 24 at bats.
Yeah.
And when you neutralize a bat like that, now you're forcing the rest of the lineup to press.
Yeah.
And the Yankees need to go back to what they were doing, where they were staying in their own lane. They weren't trying to be the guy that hit in front of them or try to hit like the guy that's hitting behind them. They were staying in their own game.
Yeah.
And that's why you were seeing, the late rallies and, the feel, that feeling that the game's not over.
Yeah.
And Judge came to the plate last night with 2 on, and no, it was 1 on. And he had that double play, and it was like, that was it. That was the rally killer.
Yeah.
And you and I had texted back and forth last night about that.
Yep.
In the moment, because I texted you, I'm like, all right, here's where we're going to make our comeback.
Yeah. That was a critical spot. The Yankees really hadn't done all that much, the first 7 innings of the game. They finally put a couple runners in scoring position. They put pressure on the Pittsburgh pitching, and they were poised to have a big inning to either make it a 1-run game or even tie it up or even maybe go ahead. So as I said, and as I feel, and I think a lot of Yankee fans feel this, by getting Judge out, that was your ball game right there. Even years ago, when Moneyball came out, they said sometimes the game isn't won in the 9th inning, it's won in the 7th inning. And I think last night for Pittsburgh, that was one of those games where they won it in the 7th inning. They got out of a big jam, and then all they had to do was get 3 outs. And if they could just get those outs without giving up any hits or without giving up any walks, they wouldn't have to worry about the prospect of facing Judge again in the 9th inning. And then that's what happened.
They had the traffic, they just couldn't get the hit.
Exactly.
That's what's been hurting them, this past week. The lead in the division helps soften the blow of the losses. Mm-hmm. The fact the games have been staying competitive is softening the blow of the losses.
Right.
Do you feel that's a fair assessment of how a lot of fans are feeling? Or are we just thinking too much into the lead itself of the division that we're not being as critical as we should be?
I understand fans thinking that, a 13 game lead is not insurmountable when you're in the middle of summer. That I understand. And we've seen it happen in history. I think a lot of Yankee fans, they think of 1978 when the Red Sox had a 14-game lead and the Yankees were able to catch up. And we know what happened after that. So we know it's not impossible. You want to talk about, coughing up big leads. Just look at the history of the Philadelphia Phillies. They give up big leads, like a bad habit, whenever they're in first place. So I think Yankee fans are smart enough to know that, hey, we've got a big lead, but we haven't won anything yet. Yeah. That said, I know that the clubhouse and the team in that clubhouse, they're a confident bunch. I know that these losses don't get them down. I would be very surprised if they had, a certain malaise such that, they went on some type of extensive losing streak. That's really hard to visualize. Now, that may happen at some point during the year. As we get into August, everybody gets a little bit tired. Everybody loses their focus a little bit. So it's possible that, there may be a stretch where they lose 4 games in a row, maybe 5 games in a row. But as long as they stay healthy, they'll be okay. I'll always feel confident in them. But I have no reason to think that anything like that is going to happen yet. And look, let's say if disaster strikes, let's say if they go on a 10-game losing streak at the same time that the Red Sox happen to go on a 10-game winning streak. Well, we still have a 3-game lead. Now, a 3-game lead doesn't make you feel as comfortable as a 13-game lead, but it is still a lead. And in baseball, a 3-game lead is a pretty big lead. So that's why when you look at the worst-case scenarios, that makes me come around to feeling good about the Yankees' position. Now, I understand how you feel about going into the Boston series, wanting the Yankees to have, some good games and some good winning going in there. But I feel good about them going into Boston. I think that the Yankees are the better team, and I think that in playing the Boston team, they get up for that more. And I think in getting up for that more, I think the results are going to play out on the field. That's how I feel.
Yeah,
it's a different year.
Well, this team does give you that feel that the higher the pressure, the stronger the outing.
Yeah.
And there are a couple guys that I'm sure some of the audience is tired of talking about, or hearing about rather, is the absence of Gallo and Donaldson being able to really produce in the lineup.
Yeah.
Have you given up on any of those? Because last night I gave up on Donaldson. I've had enough. I've seen enough.
Right.
And it was, I'm calling it a failed experiment at this point. Do you feel that way? Or what's your feelings towards the guys that just, or are we expected to contribute that or not?
Well, on Donaldson, I haven't reached the point myself where I've given up on him. His fielding is still terrific. And I feel that as long as his fielding is doing us a service, he's an asset to the Yanks. The guy has won MVPs. I know that he's got the controversy with him. I know he's an older player also, so the expectations have to be reduced a little bit. But I feel that Donaldson is a guy that can get himself out of this slump. And I feel he's also the kind of guy where, he'll get a big hit where you may not necessarily expect it. Donaldson's tough. He can handle New York. So I think that, he's on a bad stretch right now, but I think that he's eventually going to come out of it. Now, is he going to turn into a 300, 350, 375
No,
hitter.
that's not going to happen.
No, I don't see that happen. But I see him getting some clutch hits. I see him making some clutch plays for us. And I think overall the Yankees in that clubhouse, they like him in the clubhouse. He helps make them better. I think he's the kind of guy that helps.
He's got that grit that we haven't had in a while. Like,
yeah,
he has that O'Neal, grit to him.
Oh, I love it. I love the tough guy thing. I mean, that's something
I have no issues with him as the way he approaches the game. It's the production that I can't. I'm like, it's driving me crazy.
Yeah,
because I kept saying there was a couple weeks ago. Every night I'm going, all right, this is when he's going to break out. This is that was 2 weeks ago. I'm still waiting.
Yeah,
fans only have so much patience.
But I still think the guy who got us the game-winning hit on opening day and another game-winning hit later in the season. I think that guy is there somewhere, and I think we just got to give it some time for him to work it out. Joey Gallo, and here I am, getting on the let's abuse Joey Gallo train.
It's a crowded train.
Listen, Joey Gallo, he's just not cut out for New York. That's all it is. He's a nice guy. I'm sure he's a nice player, but he's an example of how New York can eat you alive, and New York is just eating him alive. I think there was only 1 point in the season where his batting average was above 200. I really think that it's in his head. I think, here we are in July. He's not even batting 170. And I think this is, again, he's like the new Sonny Gray. New York is getting him, Yeah. And I think New York fans, they want him to succeed. We want him to help our team.
We do.
We want him to hit home runs. But it's, overall, it's just not happening. I can't look at that one game where he and Hicks combined for about 10 RBIs in that game, and they both hit home runs to help win that game for the Yankees. That was the one moment of glory that he had. But, overall, it's just, he's getting to the plate and he's striking out and he's not having productive at-bats. The at-bats are just terrible. He looks lost at the plate.
Yep. So we have a couple minutes left, and I want to quick pitch to you. We have Severino on the mound tonight. Overall, really quick, what have you been impressed, or are you how are you feeling about how he's returned to the rotation and his effectiveness?
Severino is the best trade that the New York Yankees didn't make. If you remember, before preseason, there were fans out there who were saying, we need to get a pitcher. We need to get a pitcher. Now, I won't say that I had, a crystal ball and I could see, how good he would be, beforehand. But, based on how he did in 2017 and 2018, coming back from Tommy John surgery, I knew we had to give the guy a chance. I would say that for me, Severino is not letting me down. He's had a couple shaky starts, and he's had, some games where he pitches into trouble, but he's very good at getting himself out of trouble also. He really buckles down. He's got a certain toughness to him that I really like. So, Severino, he does not give up and he does not give in. Perfect season? No. But is he an asset to our rotation? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think with the injuries that he's gone through, and the one thing that stood out to me with him as a competitor was a couple years ago when he got sent back down to work on some stuff. The same thing they did with Chad Green, where it was like, look, we're not demoting you. We just want you to get a little extra work in. And after the injuries and everything, he came back, and we started seeing the old Severino again, where he was just dominant.
Yeah.
And all pitchers go through ebbs and flows of a season, just like the position players, just like the bats. But I think that the second half is going to almost mirror the first half.
Yeah.
The Yankees did play the 81st game yesterday.
Listen, there was a ridiculous stat that was said on the game. If the Yankees go 500, they're still going to win 100 games. And I don't think the Yankees are just going to go 500. I think they're going to keep on keeping on. And I think it's a good season. I'm loving this season. This is great. I also feel, Bobby, that the Yankees they're a team on a mission. Especially
well, unfortunately, we are out of time.
I'm sorry.
So no, it's all right. But we will have you back on. You have been watching the Pinstripe Chronicles. Have Pinstripes for Pride.